Hello, 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 and welcome to Not a Safe Space. This is Sabrina.
And this is Tabby.
Hey, girl, what's going on?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing well, making it through the work week.
Exactly. We are on episode 12 today.
Woohoo!
That's so exciting. But you know what? I did some research last night, and since we've started, we have almost 300 downloads.
Wow,
People
that's
are listening.
insane. Wow,
And
welcome everybody.
yes. And I want to say, everybody that is listening, thank you so much. We really, 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 really appreciate all your support and love. Just to let you guys know, I have created a Patreon account, is where you can go and you can watch us do the videos and get early releases as well. And it's $1 a month, $1. I know you guys spend more than that on an app. So
Shit,
come
I
on
spent $5 a day on monsters.
I know. So you can afford $1 a month.
Sure can. I'm signing up.
So the website is Patreon, patreon.com/Not a Safe Space podcast. And all the money that we are going to be able to raise goes towards recouping our costs and then helping us get the more professional equipment so you can continue listening to us.
Nice. And maybe you'll be able to see me one day in HD. You see how fucking selfish I am? Maybe one day you could see me in HD because I'm sure it will be worth it.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Look at that beauty face.
Right.
Wax
Right.
on, wax
Maybe
off.
we could buy filters to put over our face
Oh
so
my
then we don't have to
gosh.
do our makeup every day.
No, I want to buy backgrounds. So we're in a different space every time.
Yeah, like the Grand Canyon. Or look, here I'm at the port in Baltimore somewhere. I'll just move this canvas in the background.
There you go.
Maybe I can afford, maybe we can start a GoFundMe for Botox for my underarms so I'll stop sweating.
Okay.
I mean, that was random, but now that I'm
going.
But it's just a thought, people. If anybody's tired, by episode 100, if they get tired of listening to how sweaty I am, maybe a GoFundMe account would be appropriate.
Well, then maybe I need to talk about how saggy my boobs are so they'll help lift my titties.
This is for personal gains. Funny. So, all right. We have all of our platforms available. You're able to listen and download on every possible site at this point. We have an Instagram that Tabby is kicking ass at, that everybody should be following. We have a Facebook page now that you can get on there and follow. If you are listening to episodes and then go back and put your thoughts under our Facebook so you can start chit-chatting with our other listeners, that would be great. I have listeners texting me all the time, like, oh my, like after the cheater one.
Mm-hmm.
I got some text messages that I'm straight up crazy.
Oh, well, yeah.
Right. And then some that was like, girl, you're so awesome. Listen to what I did. So I want to hear those stories on our Facebook page and Instagram page.
Yes, please share that. Because then I want to call you out on your crazy too.
Right. That's what my sister was listening to the cheating one yesterday. And she said, I think you scared Tabby by about an hour and a half into it. Tabby was like, all right, this bitch is full on crazy. Crazy. And she was like, Sabrina, I know you had more info that you even left out that she started reminding me about. I was like, shit, there might be a part 2 to how to bust a cheater.
I like it. And don't worry, you can reassure your sister I am completely fine. Sabrina's crazy does not scare me because I'm packing and I don't worry.
That's right. Oh, she also commented on that. She loved the information you provided on gun safety. And if people want to go back, I think it's episode 3 or 4 when Tabby talks about the law class that you took.
U.S. Law Shield.
Right. She really enjoyed that part and gave a great review on our discussion on how to protect ourselves and how we need to change the movement with men and young boys too. So some great episodes out there, people. Go back and listen.
Agree. And that episode is called Women, Are You Protecting Yourselves?
Yes, that's it. All right. Well, so now all I'm doing is stalling. So
you're okay. You can do this.
So episode 12 is we are a couple days away. If you know me personally or follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you know that November 1st will be 1 year of sobriety from alcohol for me. So we are a couple days away from it. And as I've been sharing just little pieces and anniversaries online, I get these messages or text messages asking me why I stopped drinking. I think most people assume maybe I got arrested.
Or you got a DUI.
Right. Well, that's what, when I'm down south or I'm at a work event or a social event and they're like, what? You don't drink anymore? Why? And I always laugh and say, oh, it was court ordered, and then just walk away because I think I'm funny, but I'm sure there's probably, I started my own rumor.
Your own rumor.
And
oh, you know what you should do? You should get one of those fake blow in the mouth things for your car, so you have to blow sober before the car will even start. Right. You ever seen those before?
Yes. And I should take a super hot mug shot.
There is no such thing as a super hot mug shot that we will all know it's fake.
You know, my mugshot would totally look like those morning pictures I send of myself, like my hair sticking up and all that bullshit. So all right. And the reason why I share the funny side of it is because I want to make a disclaimer and say that this episode is hard for me. I like to poke fun and make jokes at things at hard situations because the emotional side and the feeling side of it is a difficult thing for me to talk about. It's the easiest way for somebody to attack me, and I don't like making myself vulnerable. However, if it will help anybody else out there to know why I stopped drinking and how it's affected my life and what alcohol's done to me, then I'm going to make that sacrifice for whoever this might reach today. So I'm going to start off with this lyric that I heard just the other day. And the song is called Someone I Used to Know by Zac Brown Band. And it basically gives you why I stopped drinking in just 3 minutes. And it's not going to read you all 3 minutes, but here it goes. Someone I used to know would stay another round. Someone I used to know ran herself in the ground. Rides the high that tears her down, hates herself and loves the crowd. The king of fools wears a heavy crown. She didn't know she almost drowned. It's been a long time coming, couldn't keep on running, had to hit rock bottom to know when you keep on losing with the path you're choosing, it's time to let go of someone you used to know. And I don't think I could have said it any better myself. So I am 39 years old. I've been drinking my whole life, took my first drink when I was 15, 14, back with the high school team. I don't think that any of my friends would classify me as an alcoholic that you see on TV. That I don't have a hidden bottle of vodka. I'm not taking shots throughout the day. However, if Tabby wanted to meet me for drinks right now and we could call it brunch, I will brunch with a bitch until 5 p.m. and drink all day long. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with stopping because I don't stop. As soon as I start going, I'm drinking to get drunk. It went from something that was a social and fun thing to something that was no longer fun. And I have this great ability of drinking all day long, getting super intoxicated and waking up the next day and still being able to get up and run and keep going. So I wasn't having the regrets of hangovers or anything like that. So this pattern of socially drinking and drinking through work and drinking through friends and drinking when I celebrated a win, drinking when I celebrated a loss, drinking when I was mad, drinking when I had a bad day, drinking when I was bored, became my life about a year ago. And 6 years ago, I had this feeling of, okay, maybe you're drinking too much. And I attended my first AA meeting 6 years ago. And I sat in there and I looked around and I said, this is not me. I'm not an alcoholic. I just socially drink. And I have a problem with, I can drink too much. That's my problem. So I left there and I said, I'll put limits on myself. I won't drink for a month. I won't drink for 2 months. And that didn't work. And so then 6 years later, I woke up on November 31st. I had to catch a plane ride back from Fort Lauderdale to Jacksonville. I had a great week. The Jaguars played in London. I hosted a party at my house. We drank all day long. I got up Monday morning, got on a plane, and then spent the next 3 days working, which involved drinking at lunch and dinners. And I don't remember most of those nights. I remember that I got on that plane. I was intoxicated. I got home. I was supposed to have lunch with my daughter that day because I had made a promise to her that I would have lunch with her once a month. And I couldn't make it. I was so hungover, I couldn't spend 30 minutes at lunch with her. So I went and picked her up and asked her if it was okay if we just ate Chinese food. And I stuck her in front of a TV and I laid around all day long. So technically that was Halloween night. I didn't drink that night. Monday or the next morning, November 1st, I woke up and I was all by myself. My kids had left and my husband had left, and I had hit rock bottom. I felt terrible. I knew that I was no longer in control of the decisions I was making when it came to alcohol. I knew that I had gotten into arguments with my husband because of alcohol, not over the alcohol, but that both of us intoxicated created more fights. I know that I had this ugly moment with my son, that he had called me an alcoholic during the summer, and I wasn't even drinking that day, and I was insulted. Like, how dare he say that? Right. I'm not drinking today. I don't drink every day. Why would somebody say that about me? That I had gotten into arguments with people, that I had expressed the way I truly felt, and it got blamed on alcohol. Well, that's just Sabrina. She was drinking and she said those things. And like I said, the fact that I could not remember certain nights, that I was absorbing so much alcohol in my body that my brain stopped recording things, and that I would wake up and not know how I got back to my hotel room, that I spoke to Nate on the phone, and the dangerous position, because I travel by myself, that I was putting myself into, that I could make a choice to sleep with somebody and ruin my marriage and ruin my family, or God forbid that I was raped and didn't even remember who I was with or a car I got into. And I just sat on my couch and I cried, and I Googled our local AA meetings, and I didn't want to go because I didn't know if I was enough. I had this struggle and this embarrassment and this fear that I couldn't stop drinking because I had tried already. I reached out to my little sister, and I didn't even call her because I was so embarrassed. I just texted her and I said, please don't call me, but I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know how to stop this cycle that I'm on. And she told me just to go, just to get up and go. And it didn't matter what anybody thought, and that she would support me no matter what I did. And I went, and I went to this building on the west side of town, and there were no cars in there, and it was a 2:00 meeting, and I didn't want to go in because I realized there wasn't a big group of people, and I just wanted to hide in this meeting. I didn't actually want to be involved in it. I just wanted to hide. And she was still texting me like, you better get your ass in there. I know you're still sitting in your car. And so I got up and I went in there, and the reality is the reason there were no cars in there is because those people didn't have their license anymore. That my rock bottom was different than theirs because they lost their families, and they lost their children, and they lost their cars, and they lost their careers. And I was no better than any of them, because if I made a wrong choice, and a choice that I was inebriated to not even know I was making, it could have cost me any one of those. And as vain as you guys have all seen me, I was in there in a sweatshirt, leaned over in my glasses, my arms wrapped around me. I couldn't even sit up straight. I was so ashamed of the way I felt and who I'd become, and allowed alcohol to take over who I was. And they were all so nice and so welcoming and understanding, and they just told me that it would get better, that if I kept going back and if I committed to not drinking and just admitted that I had a problem, that it would get better. And so I took my day one chip and I started going back, and I did feel better. And it was so hard because I didn't tell people at first. You know, I told my sister, I told a close friend, I called my husband after the meeting and told him that I went, because I knew he would talk me out of it, not because he didn't think I had a problem, but because he didn't want me to feel the way I was feeling, that he would just tell me, no, you're fine. You don't have to, you're okay. So I didn't want to allow him to give me that out. So I told Nate afterwards. And most people I told that I was just giving it up for 90 days because I wasn't willing to admit to all of them what this was going to look like for me. And one of the first couples I told was you. So because I gave this up November 1st, this is Thanksgiving, Jaguar season, Christmas parties, everything. So we came to your house, 27 days later. I was still a shell of a person at that point. I can remember coming to your house for Thanksgiving and you and I going upstairs and talking, and me crying in front of you for the first time. And you and Dion just telling me, like, we got you, and not trying to talk me out of it at all, and just saying, we understand, and we're going to support you through this. And it was hard. It was hard. And I was a different person that first 90 days because I've never been so raw and had to deal with so many emotions before in my life. I was raised to not be a pussy and not be a wimp and not talk about having my feelings hurt and not talk about any kind of feelings. And I'm used to suppressing it and drinking a couple bottles of wine and listening to sad music and waking up the next day and putting a fucking smile on my face and going forward. And now that I'm not drinking, I have to feel everything. And it's so hard and it's so unfair sometimes because I get to see other people process things in a way that I don't get to anymore. And I miss that numb feeling. I don't miss alcohol at all. I don't miss the feel. I have to learn how to be me again. I have to learn how to process things that I was never raised to do. But I am the happiest I've ever been. I have stronger relationships with the friends that matter to me now. I think, Tabby and I are social friends. We are good friends, but we are better friends now than we were a year ago. And it's because it's not always centered around drinking and all that. Like, our friend activities became drinking events. They did. Instead of us wanting friendships, we all became drinking buddies. And the relationship that I have with my husband is better. We've been in one fight in a year, where before we were coming home from events and getting into these ridiculous arguments because we were both intoxicated. The relationship with my kids, I think that when I told my kids what I was doing, I don't think any one of them believed me, because I had said it so many times that, well, I'm going to stop drinking for 30 days. I'm going to stop drinking for 2 weeks. Most of my reasoning behind that was for weight. but really it was just this burning desire to stop. And I was never successful. So something happened on November 1st where it just truly was my rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Something was different. And I've had people reach out to me and ask me how I knew how to stop. And I can just tell you, I never want to be that girl I was the day of November 1st. And I can't wait to walk back into the AA meeting on November 1st of 2019 with my head held high and proud of who I am now. Um, another thing is my words of, like I said, people would say, well, that's just drunk Sabrina, or she's just saying this because of this. And now I truly get to own every single thing I say, which is scary, but also empowering, right? I can't blame it on anything else. The things that I say now are my true feelings or emotions, and I am happy and proud to do that. If there's anybody out there that decides to stop drinking, or that this might be the path, I will say during that 90 days too, like I stopped working out. I stopped everything because I needed, first of all, I needed to detox. I didn't realize that the amount of sugar and everything in my body was also keeping me energized. And I basically slept for the first 30 days.
Wow.
Everybody would leave the house, and I had headaches and shaky, and I couldn't believe it because I didn't drink every day. I could not believe that my body was truly detoxing from this. Um,
You don't realize it, but you actually hold all that shit in.
right, right. And your body gets used to it.
Yeah.
And I also, through AA and a beautiful community that AA is, if you believe that you have a drinking problem, I recommend AA. I'm also a member of Al-Anon because alcoholism is hereditary and it can be passed down. And I take full responsibility of the person I am. However, I am a product of an alcoholic, and that was probably my biggest fear, is that I didn't want to become her. I know what it feels like to see a mom say and do horrible things and get to make excuses because she was drunk. And I know what it feels like to be ashamed of that. And I didn't want to do that to my kids. And I wanted them to know that it was worth them for me not to do this. So, like I said, I don't blame hereditary for it. I made my own choices and I saw it happening. I'm just happy that I was strong enough to stop the cycle. Um, Also, during the first 90 days, my father passed away. And I consider it a blessing that I stopped drinking because I told him, he called me one day from the hospital and I told him that I stopped drinking. And my dad just said, oh, okay. And I know that he saw me as my mother. I know it because he's seen me drink and he's seen me get worse along the way. And he's also seen my mother and I drink together. And he just said, okay, and you do what you need to do and we're here for you. And my dad passed away 60 days later, and I wouldn't have made it through it. I wouldn't have made it through it if I was drinking. I would have, because I was not drinking at that time, I was the sister that my littler sisters needed me to be. Um, I was the mother that my children needed because my children lost their grandfather. I was the daughter that my dad needed me to be for my stepmom. If I was drinking, it would have all been about me. That I lost my dad. I lost this. I would have been bottles and bottles deep into wine and about myself. And the choice to stop drinking helped me grieve my father the way that I needed to and the way that was healthy for me. So I think the next part for me is now what, right? So 1 year, I can't believe I made it. I can't believe I'm here. Um, I always wonder, can I just have one? People will ask me that. Don't you think you could just have a little? The answer is no, I can't. I can't. I know that I don't have self-control. And this is what I'll say about addiction. It's not something new for me, right? Not that I've been addicted to drugs or anything, but I was addicted to food. I was verbally and mentally and physically abused as a child, and the ways that I and sexually abused as a child, and the ways that I learned how to cope, because we weren't allowed to talk about our feelings, and you were a wimp if you cried, and I ate. I ate to make myself self feel better. Well, the problem is I had gastric bypass, and I could not eat like that anymore. And I substituted alcohol for food. And 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 that is the timeline in my life. Even though I started drinking when I was 15, this problem didn't start for me to be an abuse of alcohol until 6 or 7 years, 7 years ago, I would say. So, addiction is within me, I think. It's just something that I have to. Now I'm hoping to replace it with sex. I mean, here's me trying to be funny, but that's what I'm trying to replace it with. Or, a healthy way
A
of,
healthy addiction.
right, of something. I don't know what that is yet. I haven't found it yet. I'm leaning towards sex. um,
Blame me on that one.
right.
If anything to have, that might be an enjoyable one.
Right. So the fears that I have now is, am I too boring? My sister yelled at me for saying that. Tabby's shaking her head no.
I'm yelling at you for saying that.
So, and this is what my sister said, Tabby, is she said she thought I was too much before. And I'm not the girl that's going to chase people down with an iPhone in downtown. However, I will stand on a bar stool still and call attention and announce that it's somebody's birthday. Or I still like to have fun. I just worry that people are going to think that I'm boring, that drunk Sabrina was fun, and that sober Sabrina is a little too serious. And um, that's a concern of mine and something that I'm always thinking of. And then go ahead.
I'm going to say something. If people don't like the sober Sabrina, they can fuck off. Because you are who you are. And you're being healthy and doing great. And you're fucking amazing. Even sober, you're absolutely amazing. I love you to pieces. And if people can't accept that, they don't belong in your life.
Right. And I think, I have that here too, is have I lost friends from it? No, not really, because I think surprisingly enough is our friends saw it happening. Mm-hmm. And I think that, and you can answer that, or Dion or anybody else, that nobody except for probably Doreen that called me a crazy bitch and said how dare I stop drinking is
Yeah.
I think everybody else saw it getting worse and how much I could drink, and nobody really talked me out of it, which is I mean, that says a lot, right?
Right.
That I maybe had two or three people out of hundreds of people that said, okay, yeah, all right, girl, keep going. So I think that says a lot of where I was at. It was time for it to happen. And if it wasn't my choice, it was going to happen legally at some point too, I think. You know, whether I got a DUI or lost my job,
Right.
or lost a fucking child, God knows if I, ruined a relationship with my son.
I believe it was God's choice, honey. God saved you.
Yeah. That's the other thing through AA is that it's such a faith-based, and I have a hard time um, letting go and let God and all of that, because I am such a control freak. I'm somebody that likes to control my feelings and the situation I'm in, and just letting go and to stop controlling things now, it's freeing, and there's a peace that comes with it. And I'm happier now than I've ever been. I'm just thankful. I'm thankful. I wish that day that I went there 6 years ago that I would have kept going, but it just wasn't my time yet.
Right. You weren't
Unfortunately,
ready.
yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't the moment that I needed, and and now it has been, and I'm here and I'm happy, and I hope that the people that have reached out to me and have said that they're concerned with their own sobriety and in drinking and that they don't have any control is you have to find your I had a therapist tell me this one time is you have to find your own line in the sand. You Nobody determines that for you. I had to have about a year and a half worth of blackouts to actually know what one was before I said, all right, this just isn't funny like this is scary and I'm doing this to myself. And one way or another, I want off this fucking train. I want off of it.
Right.
And that's it. And that's where I am now. And so now I'm 1 year sober and I'm proud to be sober. And I still love, and I think that this is another part of it, is that I still love being in a bar. I still love going to karaoke. I love a good old a good old redneck bar. I love it. But now
Lord knows you love that damn redneck bar.
I love it.
Good God, woman.
Right. And as sober as the day I was born, I'm in there between a soda water and a bottle of water, just watching and having a good time. So when the whole am I boring now is ridiculous because I can still shut down a bar and be okay with it. That was another fear is I didn't want to then become this judgmental person of oh well look at them they're just straight, because not everybody has the same problem that I do with it. Not everybody has the same relationship that I do with it. And so I just want people to know, like when they see us out and about, and I can see people look at my drink sometimes, which, I know what they're thinking. And I don't really care. I know that since November 1st of 2018, I have not had a drink. And technically, October 31st, but I was still hungover, so I'm pretty sure I still had alcohol in my system.
I'm sure
So,
you did too.
yeah, so I don't count October. November 1st, I made the decision and I made the choice to stop drinking, and I have not done it since then. And I'm proud of where I am, and I'm thankful for those, 3 people that I reached out to on November 1st. I'm thankful to Tabby and Dion as, hosting me and getting me through my first holiday, which is so difficult,
Mm-hmm.
and for just supporting me through it. So thank you, because
Of course.
it truly means the world to me to have friends that love me and care for me. And I think we talked in our episode about trusting other people, and we have our doubts on it, but I know that I have good friends, and you are one of them, and I thank you for that.
Of course. I got you, boo.
So,
and I really wish I hadn't done my eye makeup this today. Thanks, Sabrina.
Sorry.
It's all good. Just for you.
So, I mean, that's all I have from it. I'm looking at my notes. I think, I'm just thankful. I'm thankful to celebrate. And and then people always ask too, have you lost weight from it? Well, guess what? I didn't at first, because of the sugar. I then started craving sugar. So then you remember, even just the other day, my body can't process sugar, but I was taking as much as I could in between January and April.
Uh-huh.
To make up for the beer that would then break down into sugar. So it took almost 6 months for me to even wean myself off of sugar.
Right.
And now I've lost 20 pounds. But in those 20 pounds, I haven't changed anything else, people. That if you are trying to lose weight, stop drinking.
Right.
In some form, because those calories count. And I was drinking a ton of calories almost it's ridiculous. So that's all I got.
So when you go out and about and someone says to you, you don't drink? Why don't you drink? And then do you feel this sense of pressure? Like people try to subconsciously make you to drink to fit in with everybody else? Like, how do you handle that?
So, especially professionally, I typically will go and get my own drink. Mm-hmm. And I still have them put a club soda in. Normally they like to put it in a regular water glass. I still have them put it in a cocktail glass for me with lime.
Okay.
So it doesn't become a discussion of, are you drinking or not? Because I've been that girl that if you have a bottle of water in your hand, I'm trying to get you to have a drink.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that is a big, normally, and this is what I've learned through, going to AA and reading these self-help books and other things, is that girl is normally the one that has a problem. And that was me, is I didn't want to be drinking alone.
Right.
So normally now I have a cocktail, or, a cocktail glass in my hand, but it's club soda. I no longer let people go and get me drinks when I'm out, because I want to know what I'm drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to mix up. The first 90 days, I just kept saying, oh, I just gave it up for 90 days. Since then, I either make a joke out of it, or I just say I just stopped. It wasn't good for me.
Right.
And most of the time the answer I get is, I get that. I get it.
Yeah.
So
I saw this thing on Facebook, and it was mainly an advertisement, but it made a good point and made me think of you. It goes that alcohol is the only drug we have to explain why we give it up.
Yeah.
You don't have to say, oh, I gave up heroin. Everyone's like, yep, I totally understand why you did that. But not alcohol. Alcohol is like the one that you're supposed to do. Everybody's supposed to do it. And then, the whole thing along with, mommy needs her juice, which is wine. And if you go to a play date, there's normally lots of adult beverages there. And I've seen memes also where it goes and says, "Oh, I determine who my child plays with which parent I drink best with."
Right. That's 100% true. And I guess I never thought about that you're right, that alcohol is the one addiction that we have to explain why.
Right. Because we don't see it as an addiction. It's just, oh, you're
Right.
just drinking. It's not a big deal.
Right.
And I had a similar situation because not intentionally like you did. I just stopped drinking for the most part. Like every now and then I may grab a White Claw, but I don't drink that much anymore because I don't like the hangovers. And you
Hmm.
know what I mean? I don't like the way I feel in the morning. So I was out at a social event and I was drinking water. And I'll drink my bottle of water. And they're like, "Oh, you're not drinking?" I'm like, "No, I was at a happy hour. I was just drinking water." And they're like, What's going on? Da, da, da. Next thing I know, someone thought I was pregnant.
Right.
And I'm like,
Right.
whoa, 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 whoa. Let me get a drink to prove you wrong because I am not pregnant.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
like, why? Why would you automatically assume that?
Hmm. Because people just assume that nobody would give up. Why would you give up alcohol? I mean, there's got it really is the craziest thing to think about it like that. That's the one thing that people are questioning. Where
Mm-hmm.
really they should question the fact that one morning I woke up and I had all these text messages on my phone if I was okay and how my face felt. And I was like, I have no fucking clue what you guys are talking about. Well, the night before in the parking lot, I fell and I hit my cheek on the back of a car.
Oh,
And I
shit.
have no recollection of that at all.
Right.
At all. At one point that night, I had absorbed so much alcohol that my brain stopped recording. And that's what a true blackout is. Your brain, so it's not that you forgot, you don't even know it happened to you.
Right.
I don't remember, and I've seen pictures because we were taking a group picture, and here I am like this, and whack my, and I
Oh,
don't
geez.
remember. And then people have to ask me why I stopped drinking. Hello, I probably should have stopped a year and a half ago.
Well, not everybody knows all the crazy Sabrina stories.
Right, right. That, and that was happening to me, like I said, on business trips now, or social trips where just I could drink a lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And mentally it's all gone. The way that you're behaving, the way that you're acting, you have no idea what you've done.
Right.
And that is a dangerous position to put yourself in.
Yep. And then even afterwards, you're like, I lost those memories, right?
Right,
I mean, you lost that time.
right.
Literally, you lost that time. It's gone.
Mm-hmm. There's a book called The Happier Hour, and it talks about our social lives as 30-year-old women, and that our careers progress, and then you start having brunches and baby showers and weddings and happy hours and work events and football games, and everything involves alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything involves, like, I would start to think, all right, well, I'm going to so and so's house and she's only going to have 2 bottles of wine, so I'm going to bring 2 bottles of wine because I'm definitely going to need more.
Right. Because it's past the, oh, I'm just going to have a glass of wine
Right.
to these events are a drunken fest.
Right.
But it's okay because it's wine.
Right. Yeah, and you're doing it socially, so it's okay.
No big
And
deal. It's okay. We're not going to a bar. You're not
right.
getting completely shit faced, right?
Right. And we're all work professionals. Look at us. We're all, functioning alcoholics. Or not all of us, but I definitely was. I was a functioning alcoholic. I didn't need a bottle in my purse hidden Because guess what? My life revolved around it anyways.
Right. So it was right there. You didn't have to hide being a drunk.
Right.
It was acceptable.
It was. It was socially acceptable for me to do that. And it's strange that it's more socially unacceptable not to be a drinker.
Right. It's unacceptable to be healthy.
Right.
Yet we proclaim that we're in a more healthy society. If you look on Facebook, everybody's doing the beach body workouts and these programs and exercise and weight loss, but you'll still see them with a drink in their hand.
Right. And that's a quote. There's a quote out of that book, A Happier Hour, from the author that says, drinking is the number one health decision I've made this year, to quit drinking. Yeah. It's not the exercising. It's not is I stopped drinking was my number one health choice that I made. Mental health, physical health, emotional health. I am better off without it.
Yep. Couldn't agree with you more.
Something else that I would point out is it's something that I worried about, and I keep notes in my iPhone of throughout my daily life. Even like when we hung out the other night, I took notes of funny shit that I could remember to talk about between you and I, because I have a bad memory. But something I found in there was, it was a question that I had proposed to myself of, will sober sex be the same as drunk sex? Because my husband and I would drink together and we would have sex together, and we had some crazy drunken nights where we did shit where the next morning we're looking at each other like, that was fun, but let's not talk about it. Right? Where now I'm wondering of, am I going to be lame to him? And he's going, because my husband still does drink and he is offered to not, but it doesn't bother me to be around it. He doesn't drink as much because I'm not encouraging him to anymore. Before I would encourage him, have some more, have some more. And then I saw in the note that, you realize you had a good sex life when sober sex is just as good as drunk sex. And so, it is just as good. But that was a thought in my mind of, okay, well, how is this going to affect my sex life?
Right. Because
we do have drunk sex, and now it's sober sex for Sabrina and drunk sex for Nate.
Well, for Nate, it hasn't changed.
Right. And then I'm like, oh shit. Well, Nate, just remember, I'm sober. Where are you putting that?
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. but you want me to do what? I'm gonna have to stretch some more. Didn't stretch for that.
See, sober Sabrina isn't lame. At least she's preparing. She's going to stretch it out a little before you jump in.
Right. I'll do anything for my man. So, yeah, I mean, that's just the thoughts of, it was more than just stop drinking. It's like, all right, how am I going to be socially? How am I going to be in my relationship now? How am I going to deal with this? How am I going to have these crazier sex nights with my husband that, without substance to help relax me a little bit.
Right.
Oh.
Yep. I don't know anything about that because I never really did intoxicated sex at all.
I know, that's so crazy to me.
Yeah, no. See, you don't understand. When I drink and when I hit my plateau, which is a max of like 3 drinks on a good day, like a massive day, that's me drinking a lot. I get like this.
You do. You get really tired.
I get so tired. I'm like, yep, I had my fun. I'm tired. That's it. Everybody leave me alone. I'm going to bed. I'm done.
Right.
And I go pass out. There's no sex. There's no, that's it. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. No way. I don't do sex on any type of drugs.
Right.
Yeah. Nope.
Right. Well, I don't anymore either. So. No. And it's just as good, people. It is. As good. So, I think that's all I have, Tabby, to share with people. I don't know if you have any more questions for me or comments or anything.
No, I think you covered a really, really good bit of it. I mean, other than, it must have been hard for you when you had that one friend that kind of basically told you were crazy for doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I felt really bad when I had heard that.
Yeah. It is hard because then you have to defend a decision, and a decision that I truly at that time wasn't ready to share with everybody.
Right.
Um, like I said, there's three people and then a sit down discussion with you and Dion that
Hmm.
I hadn't had with her yet. And I wasn't sure when I or if I was going to have that discussion with everybody because it is like I said, I my feelings are the most is the thing that I am the most protective of because it's
Mm-hmm.
truly the only way to hurt me. I've been hit by a 250-pound man before. You can't hurt me by hitting me, but if I share the real way that I'm feeling, then those words can be used against me. And I didn't want to share this story with everybody because then I'm going to get, oh, Sabrina is an alcoholic. Sabrina goes to AA. Yes, guess what? Every single day for the last year, I've carried every single one of those chips with me every day
Mm-hmm.
because I am proud of them. And
Right.
I hold on, and I need that reminder when I open my wallet and see you've done it. You've gotten
Yeah.
9 months. How 30
It's
days is hard.
incredible.
Yeah.
And after, when you were sitting up there in the bedroom with me and we were talking about it, and afterwards, I went to Dion and I had talked to Dion about it. And I was like, put that alcohol away. I said, go hide those bottles right now. Sabrina told me she's sober. Put that shit away. You go out in the garage and get a beer if you want it out there, but you're not fucking flaunting it around Sabrina right now.
Right.
He was like, yes, ma'am. And then
And
you were like, no, 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 it's okay. And I'm like, no, it's okay.
right. And I still like I have bottles of liquor in my pantry and I have cans of beer. And I've been the person, if we've been out, I was at a bachelorette party the other day and was the one handing out
You were the beer
alcohol.
bitch.
I was, and it's, when it gets on my hand, like it's just normal to like want to taste it where now I don't even think about I go and wash my hands. I don't want it near my mouth at
Right.
all because one of the biggest things they talk about is starting over
Mm-hmm.
and that people have these laps and the hardest day is actually the first day of your second time around or your
Mm.
third time around. November 1st was so hard for me. I've never physically or mentally felt so little and weak in my life that I never want to go back there. So there's been these weak moments where I thought, well, hey, everybody relapses, right?
Right.
Why not go have a great fucking 2 weeks and then just restart? November 1st hurt me so much that it's not worth it.
Right.
I never want to go
Restarting's
back.
not worth that drink.
Right. It's not worth it anymore. I'm happy where I am. I never want to feel that little in my life again.
Right.
So so that's it, friends and
All right.
listeners. Thank you for letting me share my story. If you uh, are struggling yourself with alcohol, if you feel like you could use somebody to talk to, I recommend your local AA chapter. It is truly a place of no judgment. It's a room of people that you would not think you had anything in common with, and how wrong you are. That every person almost has the same story and feelings and fears that you do. If you go online, there are multiple meetings throughout every city. We're lucky here, we have about 12 different meetings at any given time. So if you're having a weak moment, just hop in there. I would recommend the book Happier Hour for anybody who is concerned about their social drinking and the limits that they're pushing it to, that was a great book that was written for women about women and the way that we're drinking. Other than that, thank you. Thanks for sharing. And thanks for your support. Every single one of my friends and family members, I couldn't have done it without every single one of you. And I'm incredibly, incredibly thankful for every one of you.
We love you, Sabrina.
I love you too. I love you too.
All right.
Say it twice.
Everyone, thank you so much for listening, your love and your support. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, rant raves, or if you want to share your own personal story with us, you can do that at notasafespacepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram and now Facebook. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Talk to you later.
Bye.